Hey guys, it's Massxmordor, and in today's video I'll be discussing the origins of the mystical civilization of Atlantis and figuring out whether or not it's real or just a work of fiction. So, let's dive into it. Of Atlantis has had many different depictions throughout a variety of mediums such as books, movies, TV shows, and video games. Ever since I was young, I have been interested in the mystery that surrounds Atlantis and have always wondered whether or not it's real.
Goodbye, Atlantis.
There are many theories of where the location of Atlantis was: in the Mediterranean, off the coast of Spain, and even under what is now Antarctica. Ocean explorer Robert Bullard says that the legend of Atlantis is a logical one since devastating floods and volcanic explosions have occurred throughout history, including one event that was similar to the story of the destruction of Atlantis about 3,600 years ago. A huge volcanic eruption destroyed the island of Santorini in the Aegean Sea near Greece. At the time, a highly advanced society of Minoans lived on Santorini. The Minoan civilization disappeared suddenly at the same time as the volcanic eruption. Ancient Greek philosopher Plato, whose writing contained many self-evident truths about the human condition that still holds up to this very day. One of his most famous stories, the devastating destruction of the great civilization of Atlantis. The story has been repeated more than 2,300 years after Plato's death. It's a story that has a lot of elements that people love to fantasize about. Plato told the story around 360 BC. The founders of Atlantis were half god and half human. They created a utopian civilization and were a great naval power. Their home was made up of concentric islands separated by wide moats and linked by a canal that penetrated to the center. The islands contained gold, silver, and other precious metals and had an abundance of rare, exotic wildlife, as well as a great capital city on the central island. Atlantis existed about 9,000 years before Plato's own time. Its story has been passed down by poets, priests, and others, but Plato's writings of Atlantis are the only known records of its existence. Many people, including James Rom, a professor of classics at Bard College in Annandale, New York, believes Plato created the story of Atlantis to convey some of his philosophical theories. His ideas about divine versus human nature, ideal societies, the gradual corruption of human society, these ideas are all found in many of his works. Atlantis was a different vehicle to get at some of his favorite themes. The legend of Atlantis is a story about a moral, spiritual people who lived in a highly advanced utopian civilization, but they became greedy, petty, and morally bankrupt, and the gods became angry because the people had lost their way and turned to immoral pursuits. As a punishment, the gods sent one terrible night of fire and earthquakes that caused Atlantis to sink into the sea. Plato was just trying to illustrate the glory of his own city of Athens and provided a moral example of what happened to cities who became greedy and neglected the rule of law. Well, that was an interesting one, guys, but 9-year-old me still wants to believe Atlantis was real at one point and just maybe sunk into the sea, but there are actually a few elements of Atlantis that help me conclude that it was just a work of fiction after all, and it actually never even existed. A utopian society doesn't sound so realistic to me, especially during 360 BC, where political and religious turmoil was at an all-time high. You had the Persians, Spartans, and Mongols around, so I don't really think a utopian civilization would even survive. Also, if they were a naval powerhouse, why are there no records about how great their navy was? Like, I couldn't find any information about who founded Atlantis and when it was settled. So, yeah, that's kind of weird. Okay, guys, but I think 9-year-old me is gonna be mad because I believe that Atlantis was really just a philosophical piece of work by Plato to provide his city of Athens with the moral example of what happened to cities who become greedy and neglected the rule of law. And like I guess because it's been passed down for centuries and stuff. Like over time, like there's gonna be like certain things that like people might add into it that like weren't necessarily true. So yeah. So sorry I ruined your dreams of becoming half god and half human. So please let me know what you guys think in the comments. What happened to Atlantis? And be sure to like and share this video because it really helps this channel grow. And thanks for watching. I'm Massxmordor, and see you next time.